All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. This is Allen Devlin with Atlanta News First. As always, we are here weekdays at 8 o'clock to talk to you guys about some of the stories that are impacting our area. I'm going to throw my nameplate up there so you guys can read it and see it and hear me say it. There you go. Thank you for joining me this happy Tuesday. We are 2 days into the week so far, 3 more to go behind this, unless you've got a long weekend like me. But regardless, we've got a couple of stories I want to walk you guys through here. That'll be followed by weather with Patrick Pete. Beautiful day outside, beautiful week ahead of us, so he'll be able to hopefully give you guys some more good news in terms of weather. First story I want to step into is in the world of sports. If you are an NFL fan, you are aware of the unfortunate incident that went down yesterday night, Monday Night Football. Nick Chubb went down with a scary knee injury. If you didn't know, he's actually from right here in Georgia, about an hour and a half north of Atlanta. Cedartown is where he is from, his hometown. He played there, high school played there, then he went to UGA, played for UGA, as you know, on a team that should have won a national championship. Let's be honest. That was when we were still getting cursed with Georgia sports. That has since passed. Now he's in the NFL. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL, and he's Georgia grown. Adam Murphy actually went to his hometown to talk to some of his closest friends, some of his old coaches about their reaction to an injury like this, as we still wait to hear from Chubb for the first time since he was carted off that field about 24 hours ago.
I spoke with Nick Chubb's father over the phone. He's in Cleveland with his son. He told me Nick is obviously disappointed, and so is everyone else here in his hometown. In the small town of Cedartown, 72 miles northwest of Atlanta, this quaint community is home to the voice of Winnie the Pooh, the Museum of Coca-Cola memorabilia, and hometown hero Nick Chubb.
Because he is such a good example for everybody in this community, everybody hurts when he hurts.
Scott Hendricks is principal at Cedartown High School. He coached Chubb on the football field more than a decade ago and was devastated to learn of Nick's season-ending leg injury on Monday night.
I just got up and walked out of the room when I saw it, and you know, it's a gut punch. It made me physically have a reaction to that, just because I know what he has invested in what he's done to get to that point.
Chubb's rise to stardom nearly ended at the University of Georgia when he injured the same knee, but it was his work ethic that helped him overcome and ultimately become one of the great running backs in the National Football League.
When challenged, he's always met challenges.
Through it all, Chubb is no stranger to his roots. He trains at Cedartown High during the offseason and even purchased the school mascot named Chubb.
He's an old soul. He's a throwback football player, and I know people have labeled him that, but that's what he is.
Coach Mike Worthington knows Chubb as well as anyone and has no doubt he will rehab and return, God willing.
I just want him home. You know, I can't really love him from that distance. I know it's sad, but I'm like, just get my boy home so we can take care of him and love him.
Coach Worthington told me the Browns organization will have Nick rehab in Cleveland. And he said if anybody can make it back to the big time, it's Nick Chubb. In Cedartown, Adam Murphy, Atlanta News First.
And we are all hoping for a speedy recovery from Nick Chubb. And I'm sure the Browns fans, UGA fans, and Georgia natives want to see him continue to succeed in the way that he has with his career. Moving along here, the next story I want to talk to you guys about, tragic story, shocked a Marietta community where a high school student lost her life in a wreck over the weekend. And Tori Cooper was out there at what was a impromptu vigil in the parking lot at that student's parking spot. And there was a vigil tonight at a local church where the family politely requested no media be in attendance out of respect for the family. We, of course, did not go. But Tori's got a little bit, she spoke to some of the students' teammates about what she meant to that school and that community.
I'm Tori Cooper here outside of Marietta High School, where dozens of teens are grieving tonight after they lost their friend, teammate and classmate, 16-year-old Liv Tavernino, who police say died in a car crash last night after she crashed her car into a tree less than a mile from her high school. Now today, dozens of teens poured into the parking lot today with flowers. They wrote messages on the sidewalk for her, and they also just shared fond memories. Staff describes her as a dedicated student who exemplified passion. She was also a member of the cross-country team. Tonight there will be a private vigil held at St. Joseph's Catholic Church, and we will not be attending out of respect for her family. In Marietta, I'm Tori Cooper, Atlanta News First.
A tough story, as always, anytime we lose life this early for something that was obviously an accident like this. But our hearts and prayers go out to everybody that knew her, her family, her friends, her staff members, her school members, her community members. They're all in mourning tonight. Final story I want to talk to you guys about here tonight is another again out of Marietta this time around. An emotional support dog is attacked on its owner's front porch. A woman was just trying to walk her dogs like she always does. Two of them, when two other dogs with collars on, ran into the yard, chased them up the stairs of the front porch of the house, and then bit one of the dogs, sending it to the ER. Scary situation. Rachel Aragon walks us through it.
This was my safe zone.
Sharon is used to walking her two small dogs around her Decatur neighborhood, but Sunday was the first time she didn't make it past her driveway. Stop! Two larger dogs, as seen in her Nest camera video, follow her to her front doorstep, and she fights to put her smaller dog in the house first.
I went to grab Stormy, and that's when the gray dog bit him.
Sharon, who's also an Army veteran, says she's never seen the dogs that sent her emotional support dog, a 2-year-old Maltese, to the ER.
They help keep me grounded. So anything happens to them, it was just more trauma on top of trauma.
The leash law in DeKalb County is very plain and simple.
DeKalb County Animal Enforcement Services is reminding residents that violations of county ordinances and animal-related laws can result in fines or impound.
So we want to make sure everyone's secured on their property as well as keep an unwanted pest off your property.
The community can also help keep their neighbors and four-legged friends safe.
Call anytime an animal is loose or an animal is in distress. Let the animal enforcement officers make the decision as to if it has an owner or if it is in a situation such as neglect or cruelty that we need to investigate.
My neighbor and I, we're responsible dog owners, you know. We take it seriously to leash our pets.
Sharon is calling on dog owners to not only be careful, but also mindful.
For it to happen in my own yard, on my doorstep, I think that's the most traumatizing.
Yeah, honestly scary. Put your dogs on a leash, especially if they are capable or might attack, bite, scare other people or other dogs alone. I have had a flurry of dogs throughout my life. And yeah, those incidents can be scary. Dogs can be unpredictable, which is why you always want to be careful. That's all I've got for you today here as far as those stories go. But just like promised, we've got Patrick Peak coming up to talk to us about the weather. It's a pretty easy one for the weather team this entire week because the weather has been so nice. Patrick, I have no complaints. If it drops into the 60s as it has been, I'm happy, honestly.
Yeah, I'm loving this forecast, man. It has been very pleasant to get up in the morning and step outside and feel that nice crisp air. And in the afternoons when I'm driving into work, the weather's still very nice and mild and comfortable. And if you have been enjoying it like me, the good news, there is not much change in the forecast as we head through the next couple of days. We will throw in some more clouds, but other than that, the feels are going to stay the same. Temperatures this morning were in the 50s in most locations. We were a little bit warmer here in the city. That's kind of the norm. We're normally several degrees warmer just because of the urban heat island effect, but very comfortable out there this evening. 77 degrees the current temperature in Atlanta. Nice breeze out of the east-southeast at about 6 miles per hour. Visibility's great. Humidity's great. We are winning. And the numbers over the course of the next few hours will gradually slide into the 60s. By around midnight, we should be in the upper 60s. And we're waking up to numbers again in the morning that are going to be borderline chilly. I know saw a lot of folks in the newsroom today with those sweater jackets on, you know, the ones that kind of keep you warm. If you're cold-natured, this is going to be probably the perfect type of weather for you because you don't need to bundle up too much, but you get that nice little jacket, nice little sweater. situation going. It's going to be a little chilly in the morning for some folks. I think 60 is good for me. But here's that Jeep forecast. I know a lot of you are looking to get out on the roads trying to determine if you can take the top off, top and doors off. And tomorrow's going to be a good day to take both the top and the doors off. High pressure to the north of us is going to keep things nice and dry. Lots of sunshine for the morning. High clouds are going to be moving in, but it's really just going to be fair weather clouds, so not expecting much of a production out of that. Temperatures are going to gradually increase through the day. We'll start off near 60 degrees in the city, climbing into the 70s around 10 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to hang out in the upper 70s for the bulk of the afternoon, much like what we saw today. But those daytime highs should climb into the low 80s for a couple of hours. And we're going to see a similar setup for Thursday, except we're going to throw in a few more clouds, and because of the few more clouds and the east-northeasterly breeze, we do expect the temperatures to be a degree or two cooler Thursday. So struggling to get into the low 80s, but I do think we get there at the airport at least. Most other locations spend the bulk of the afternoon in the 70s. And then Thursday evening, the fair is kicking off. First night at 4 o'clock. We'll see temperatures in the low 80s. So a pretty solid evening to take the kids maybe after work, after school. Maybe you don't want to wait until the weekend because you kind of want to beat a lot of those crowds. The weather's going to be fantastic no matter how you slice it, but a good evening to do that Thursday. Temperatures into the low 70s by the 8 o'clock hour. And here's the Saturday and Sunday forecast. Has those temperatures climbing into the low to mid 80s across most of the region. So feeling like fall and staying dry. We had a rain chance on Sunday yesterday, but we were telling you last night that rain chance was dealing with this system that's going to develop off the coast, and we were treating with a dry resolution for North Georgia, which is continuing to be the case. So we removed the rain chance Sunday, but we do think a little bit of moisture will slide into the area Monday into Tuesday. So spotty shower Monday, few showers, maybe a rumble of thunder on Tuesday. Still 5 days of gorgeousness before we have to worry about any of that. So we're going to focus on the positives, focus on the goodness of the forecast that we have here at home. But keeping an eye on the tropics, you can see a very well-defined eye on Hurricane Nigel. Newest update has those winds bumped up to 100 miles per hour. It is moving towards the north-northwest at about 14, so moving similar speeds as it's been doing for the last day or so. Still a little bit of intensification possible within the next 12 hours, but after that, it's really just going to be away from the warm waters of the Atlantic into the cooler territories, and we do expect weakening to happen as it races off to the north. If you have interest in Iceland, maybe you could get a little bit of rain from this, but it's going to be so weak at that point, it's not going to be a big deal. Meanwhile, I mentioned that system off the coast of the southeast, and that boundary that has been installed there for the last day or so continues to linger, and that's going to be the case, but we do expect an area of low pressure to develop from this stalled boundary, and we can see this lift northward. I don't think we'll get much in the way of rain from it, maybe some clouds in East Georgia, but this looks to be mainly a mid-Atlantic situation, so while watching how this impacts North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Maryland, this could be a subtropical system. This could stay out over the water long enough for it to develop some tropical characteristics. In either case, whether we're calling this a subtropical something, a tropical something, or nothing at all, it's going to be a lot of moisture that's going to be lifting north into the mid-Atlantic, which could cause some issues. So that's going to be our closest system to develop. Out coming off the coast of Africa, you can kind of see this tropical wave starting to emerge. Over the course of the next week, the atmosphere is just very conducive for development here, so we could see some slow development over the course of the next week. By Sunday, there's a 70% chance that we could be dealing with the depression, so we will keep you posted. We're about 2/3 through the name lists for hurricane season. Typically, there is a slowdown in October because there starts to be a little bit more wind shear and all these other different factors, but we are still essentially smack dab in the middle of hurricane season. The peak was on the 11th of September, so not far removed from that. So we'll have to continue to monitor not only the Atlantic, but the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico as well. So the gist of our forecast at home here is that things are just fantastic. And so I want to give you one more look at the 7-day forecast so that you can make plans, take your screenshots, and revel in this beautiful forecast that we have that has no first alerts, which is great news to anybody looking to make plans outside. And, of course, we'll keep you updated on the tropics. We'll have a fresh look at some new numbers coming up tonight at 10 on Peachtree TV and 11 o'clock. So You guys have a great Tuesday evening. Grab some tacos for me, and I will see you on the airwaves in about an hour and a half.